In today's video, I am not going to share a story, or an email. What I am going to talk about is a question that was brought up to me, and it's something similar I've spoke about in the past. People are always curious what sticks out to me speaking with so many people, personality traits, pretty much personality traits, what most people have that stay clean. Not so much get clean, but stay clean. And one of those obvious things that sticks out is that people who stay clean, when they start their recovery, they're willing to change who they are. They're willing to change the person that they are. Okay? And that's a very broad thing, but it's pretty much they're willing to be open to anything. Okay? And, you know, it's funny, when I first got clean and I was going through recovery, I did just that. All right? I had a very, very big ego. And it almost killed me because I wasn't willing to change, or I wasn't willing to admit that I had an issue, even though I obviously had a crazy problem. But when I did decide, you know, now's the time, I'm ready to be, I don't want to be a statistic, I want to be special and make it. I want to be that 10% of people supposedly that make it, which that statistic I think is a crock of shit. But I was willing to do anything. I mean, I picked up books and started reading. I honestly never finished a full book until I was in rehab. Never happened. I never read a book from cover to cover to find out who I was. You know, I wanted to learn. And I realized that, you know, who I was who I was trying to portray, was not really who I was inside. Okay, so when I had the opportunity to start all over again, I mean, I had a clean slate. I didn't have pretty much any friends. They were all gone. I got to be myself for the first time in my life, and that's a very freeing thing because most people don't even know who they are. So if you have the ability to not have to be a certain person when you get out of rehab, and you have to go back to who you were, if you have a free, clean slate to just be yourself, it's very freeing. All right. So if you allow that to be a possibility for yourself, it is crucial because you're not putting on a role for anyone. You don't have to worry about your lies, and you don't have to worry about, you know, what stories. It's just you just be, and that's a very freeing thing. Okay, if you don't care what anybody thinks, that is a huge part of it because, you know, a lot of us, we do certain things in our everyday lives to make other people happy. All right, and that's fine. I mean, a lot of, like, you know, if you're married, you have kids, you want to do things for them, you give up your time to be somewhere for them and do things for them. That's what you're supposed to do as, you know, as a husband or as a father or mother and wife. But what you shouldn't do is change, you know, who you are as a person for anyone else. Okay? Do not give up who you are for somebody else. All right? That's as big as I can get. But something else that is very, very, very important, especially for long-term recovery, is learning how to deal with stress a priority. Because life is stressful for everyone. I don't care who you are. And if you don't learn how to deal with stress without masking it, you're not going to make it. So this is where reading comes in. This is where, I know, as kooky as it sounds, you know, breathing, meditation, counting to 10, leaving the situation, leaving a room if there's a fight. If something is overwhelming for you, leave and take some time to yourself. Okay? Most situations you can get out of it and then go back to it. All right? Don't overwhelm yourself so much with so much stress that it takes over all of your thoughts, that it becomes unbearable. Because once it's too much for you and you're still fragile, the first thing you're thinking about doing is exiting the stress, exiting the problem, and that's when you start covering things up. You're starting to lie to people, and you're starting to do shady things. All right. So if you can take on problems but deal with stress, you're going to make it. All right. So two major things are, if you are willing to do whatever it takes, if you're willing to change who you are and learn how to be, pretty much learn how to be yourself for the first time, you're going to make it. If you learn how to deal with stress and not mask it or try to hide it or try to, numb the stress or pain for that, not physical pain, mental pain. If you could take these things on little by little, you don't have to go head on into like a stressful situation or, a painful situation, but if you learn how to deal with these things and not overwhelm yourself, you're gonna make it. But when I see or I talk with people that, they have pretty much, they're still the same person they were, even though they're clean. They didn't change. They didn't change anything about themselves. So the only thing that's missing now is the drug. The drug's no longer there. But you're still the same person, still doing the same things, minus the drugs. You haven't added anything. You haven't changed any of your routines. You haven't, tried to progress or make yourself better in any way. And then you're stagnating because you, instead of adding anything, you've actually taken something away. And the thing you took away was your drug, your crutch, your pretty much your fallback. So if you don't have things adding to your life that are good and pushing and prospering and you're not learning and moving forward, you're going to fall back. So be open to as many things as possible that are positive. Okay? Learn. Because everything that you were doing, the way you were living, the way you were thinking, the way you were reacting to stress and problems led you to where you were. All right? You were unable to make the right choice. Maybe made great choices in most of your life, but the one major choice you kept screwing up on, you couldn't get past. So learning how to deal with stress and being willing to be a completely different person, which ultimately is yourself. I know how crazy confusing that is, but for many of you, you're going to know what I mean, especially if you're clean. You're going to know what I mean as the real you who's in there finally gets to come out. Okay? Like, don't be afraid. You don't have to put on a show for people, because deep down, you love your spouse, you love your kids, your immediate family is one thing, but most people really don't give a shit what you do. They really don't. You go on Facebook, you get likes and do your... Nobody cares. They really don't. Okay? So don't worry about putting on shows for people. Don't worry about trying to be something you're not, because in the long run, no one cares. Just be yourself. And it's such a freeing thing. And when you have the opportunity to get clean, that's the time to do it. Take away as much stress as possible. Because when you try to put on this mask and be something you're not, you're going to add so much stress to your life, which probably is what maybe led you into the problem that you had. Okay? So get as much stress away from you as you can. Learn how to deal with the stress that you still have. And be the person you really are. That's pretty much the bottom line. All right? If you'd like to share your story, you can email me at ryan@comsupport.com. In the subject line, put YouTube story, my story. Let me know if you want to use your first or last name or stay anonymous. My legs are falling asleep because I'm crouching on my knees. But hope you guys had a great weekend. My weekend, it was fairly stressful, not too bad. Wasn't like last weekend. Last weekend was nice and calm. This weekend was a little bit too much. But have a very exciting week ahead of me. I have some stuff going on. So I hope you guys had a great weekend and you're back on your routine and doing your thing, and you'll check out some more videos, leave some love, and if you are on the fence about writing in, please write in. I could use some great stories. All right, people love the stories. They write me every day and tell me, the stories are, or what you say has a lot to do with where I am now, and I really appreciated that kind of stuff. So it's like fuel for a raging positive fire, these stories. So keep adding fuel to it so we can keep the fire lit. Okay? All right, leave some love, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.